All right, guys, are you ready to talk about Humpty Dumpty? I was thinking this week about Easter, and that was making me think about Easter eggs, and that made me think about eggs, and that made me think about Humpty Dumpty. And I have to thank Mrs. Sizemore because she put this whole lesson together for me. So thank you. So we're going to do this lesson about Humpty Dumpty just because I feel like Easter was a good time to talk about eggs. So first, I know you guys are probably already familiar with the nursery rhyme, but just as a refresher, we're going to read it together again. I'm going to hold this up, hopefully, so you can see it. Here we go. Okay, perfect. Let's read it together. So as I point to the words, I want you to read it along with me, okay? Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. I'll try it one more time. I want you guys to follow along and read it with me. Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. You hear some rhyming words in there? Okay. So now, in your bin, you have several works that I want you to do related to our Humpty Dumpty lesson, okay? The first thing that I want you to find is your booklet. It says Humpty Dumpty, has pages all stapled together in a book. Okay. You may color this book, but I also want you to practice reading it with mom or dad or grandma or a big sister or a little brother. I want you to practice reading this book out loud. So you can color all the pictures, but also practice the reading. This is your book to keep. So you can use this to practice your reading. Also color it and make it look really nice. Okay. That's our first thing. Our second thing that we're going to do is you have the nursery rhyme in your bin. You are going to cut out each line separately. So you're going to need scissors and you're going to need glue. You're going to cut out the title and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines separately. You don't have to cut up the words separately. That would make it a little difficult. But I want you to have the title and these 5 lines cut out individually. So you have each line on a little strip of paper. Once you have done that, you can mix them all up and then try to put the nursery rhyme back in order. So this is where you're going to glue your strips onto a second sheet of paper, which is in your cubby. All this is clipped together. A second sheet of paper, you're going to glue your nursery rhyme back in order. See if you can get the lines back in order. If you need help, before you ask mom or dad, remember the resource that you have. Just like in class, lots of times you guys are able to figure out things on your own by looking back at a control. This is going to be your control. So once you cut out all the lines, even if you can't read them, you can match them in order by looking back at your book. So you see the first line is Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. So then you would match that. You would find your strip of paper that has that line. And that's how you know that's going to be the first line of your nursery rhyme after your title. So before you ask for help, think about the resources that you have, okay? So you'll cut these into strips. You'll have 6 strips of paper glued back on to another sheet, put back in the correct order, using your booklet for help. Now, fun part. You have a baggie like this in your bin. So let's open her up, see what's inside. So, what do you think? We've got some pieces here. We've got some Band-Aids. What do you think we're gonna do with these? Think back to our nursery rhyme. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. I want to see if you can put Humpty together again. This puzzle, once you put it back together, and you have to do some kind of trial and error here. You have to play with it just like puzzle pieces. Once you put your puzzle back together and you have an egg, you can use your Band-Aids to put it back together. So get your puzzle pieces put back together. See, something's let's see, maybe this will work. This puzzle is tricky. It didn't make an egg. All right, you will do a better job than I did. You will get your puzzle put back together correctly. Once you get him put back together and it's an egg, once it looks like Humpty Dumpty, use your Band-Aids like tape to put the egg together, okay? So that's what these are for. You put Humpty Dumpty back together as a puzzle, use your Band-Aids to stick the pieces together, okay? Very good. I can't wait to see pictures of your guys' booklets and your nursery rhymes and your Humpty Dumpties.